trade deadline winners and losers.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you looking at as winners? Who are you looking at as losers here walking out of the deadline?
Big winner, I feel like, by far, Mike Trout and the Angels. Finally, I don't remember at any point in Mike Trout's career where the Angels have kind of gone for it here. I know they've tried to make moves in free agency, haven't really worked out a whole lot in their favor. But and who knows if these moves will work out? I feel like they probably will, more so than moves they've made in the past. But finally, the Angels and Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout, I should say, they're going for it, hoping to God they make the playoffs. That would be a lot of fun to watch. And I think they push the right buttons to give them a shot here.
They bring in Lucas Giolito, Reynaldo Lopez, CJ Cron, Randall Grichuk, and Dominic Leone. 5 players that, it's going to be tough down the stretch here for the Angels, but I think that they have set themselves up to compete there. I mean, the biggest winner for me was the Rangers.
Yeah.
We've already talked about it. I mean, even back to when they got Aroldis Chapman from Kansas City, they bring in Jordan Montgomery, they bring in Max Scherzer. Austin Hedges is going to be a good backup catcher. He's arguably the best defensive catcher in all of baseball. So I'm really excited to see how this Rangers team does. Definitely a team that can be in the World Series. I really loved that World Series pick. That was awesome. Another winner that I thought did well was the Arizona Diamondbacks. They bring in Paul Sewell. Now they traded away Andrew Chafin, which I don't know. They bring in an arm for the bullpen. They trade an arm out. They brought in Tommy Pham, who, I'm not a big Tommy Pham guy myself, but I thought Sewell really helped that bullpen out. I thought they could have done a little bit more, but I do still think that they were winners at the deadline here.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think another silent winner, I really like the Lorenzen trade to the Phillies. I think it helps the Phillies out a lot. It upgrades the rotation a lot. Michael Lorenzen quietly was having a good year. He was an all-star, but he was kind of quietly having a good year in Detroit there. I thought that was a very good move.
I will say my final winner here, there were plenty of winners, but my final one that I'm going to talk about, and the reason I'm going to talk about this team is because they made my favorite trade of the deadline. And that's the Tampa Bay Rays getting Aaron Savali for the number 37 prospect in all of baseball who's not having a very good year. Yeah. Aaron Savali is having a phenomenal season this year. That was the only acquisition that the Tampa Bay Rays had made, and I thought that it was arguably, if not the best acquisition of any team during the trade deadline. It was by far my favorite. If you ask me, Jett, what was your favorite? Aaron Savali to the Tampa Bay Rays. This is a team that is now, and they're playing pretty good baseball in New York right now. So if you're looking at World Series contender, the Tampa Bay Rays might just be back there, and this Aaron Savali deal is only going to help that.
Yeah. As for losers at the trade deadline, I've got a couple in mind. I kind of want to say Cubs, but the jury's still out on that right now, I feel like. And I don't want to talk too much crap with them playing the Reds right now and then it kind of come back in my face. But I will say another NL Central team, I'm going to say the Cardinals. I know they moved a lot of pieces, but I feel like they could have moved a lot more and sold a lot more and really set themselves up to compete with, I mean, you look at the Reds, they're set up to be good for a while. I feel like, I'm not trying to be biased here, but I feel like this is the team you're going to be looking at the next couple of years that are going to kind of be towards the top. And other Central teams have good farm systems as well. Really, all of them do. So I felt like the Cardinals had a chance to sell. They sold a lot of pitchers, but there was a lot of position guys that I feel like had a lot of value, and they could have been moved. And you could argue whether Arenado should have been a part of that or not. I feel like he probably should have been. I feel like they all should have been. Who knows if they tried moving them, but I feel like they could have done a lot more, but they just didn't.
I totally agree. I said that as well. I think another team that I think was a loser, the New York Mets.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. People are talking to me. They're like, but Jett, they got good value. Bro, if you're the highest payroll team in the league, of course you're going to get good value for these guys.
Yeah.
You're not necessarily a loser because of the trades. You're a loser because you had to make these trades. You had to blow your team up because your team was not performing and you built a bad team. That's why they are a loser to me, is because and here's the thing. If you're defending the New York Mets as a team right now, then that's all I need to know. But this team is a loser walking out of the deadline. I don't care what they got in return for anyone. They are walking out of this looking silly, and they're going to be really bad for the next couple of years, I think.
Yeah. Not to mention, they're still paying a lot on those contracts.
Still paying a lot on those contracts.
They're paying for those good value players, which doesn't happen often, but that's how big the contracts were. I think that's all I had for losers, honestly. I couldn't really think of anybody else.
I had, I also had the Cardinals in
Yeah.
there. Underrated loser was the Giants for me because they didn't do anything. You're in second place. You're kind of in a
Yeah.
race here, and you go get AJ Pollock. That was the only guy you could go get who's hitting 173 this year. But yeah, I mean, their teams. I also thought the Tigers are big losers because you still have Eduardo Rodriguez on your team. That's a loss to me. But other than that, not a ton of losers. Not a lot of guys came out of this looking like an ass. So,
Well, actually, I would say the White Sox too, kind of for some of the same reasons that I said for the Cardinals. I feel like it wouldn't be fair to throw in the White Sox there because they kind of did the same thing. But yeah,
I agree.
White Sox too.
I agree wholeheartedly.